I'm happy to be joined today by a very inspirational guest we had on the program a few years ago. When she last appeared on Mind, Body, and Spirit, she shared the amazing story of losing more than 100 pounds. Today, Frannie Foltz is on to her next adventure in life as an empowerment coach for women and young girls. Her new business is called Shine with Frannie, and welcome to the program, Frannie.
Thank you so much for having me. Good to be back.
Yes, great to have you here. So the first thing I have to ask you is, how do we shine with Frannie? Tell us about your business.
There's lots of different ways. So I do empowerment coaching. So that could be either a one-on-one coaching with a girl or her mother or an adult woman, or I do a virtual program where I can actually have a group of girls involved, and they don't have to be here in Cleveland or in the greater Cleveland area. Or I do special events, I do public speaking engagements, I do special events, at malls or with other strategic partners, and really present lots of opportunities for girls to get healthy, strong, and confident.
It seems that girls these days, we hear a lot in the news that they really struggle with self-esteem, and social media probably contributes to that. What can parents do to kind of boost the self-esteem for their daughters?
Sure, it's certainly, with the onset of social media the last 5 years especially, it's not just girls, it's really women. And one of the reasons why I started my business, I know that you know a little bit more of my story, was because I didn't really feel like I had the tools as a young girl. It was really heavy, and so I didn't really know how to combat some of the challenges of adolescence. And so now you throw in the whole social media piece, and it's even more challenging for girls because there's constant comparison. Every time you swipe your screen, you're constantly looking and comparing yourself to someone else. And so I really, help parents. I really try to encourage parents to really get to the confidence that it starts at home. I always tell parents that you are, especially moms, you are your daughter's first role model. It's not Selena Gomez or Taylor Swift. While they certainly have a huge influence on their young girls, and their daughters, that really it's them. What they're eating, what they're drinking, what they're saying to themselves, what they think when they put on a dress, or they say out loud and verbalize, when they put on a dress. So it's really important to make sure that you're filtering your own messages too, not just the things you're reading and seeing on social media.
If you have someone at home, that a kid that's getting teased at school. That's the biggest thing I hear from my kids, is that there's some teasing that goes on.
Sure.
How does that affect a child's self-esteem, and what should the parent do if the child comes home and says, "Mom, so-and-so's picking on me"?
Right.
What do you do?
Well, I think it's so important to be able to give your child those tools and those skills. Try to stay away as the parent, really helping them role play, walking through that. There's a conscious disciplining, is oftentimes what a lot of the psychologists will use when disciplining their children, really teaching them the tools so that they're very consciously aware of what they're saying, what they're doing, and then as they interact with kids or, their peer group, that they really have those tools and those skills. So as a parent, what I would suggest to the parent is to help them look at multiple perspectives. Really look and see, well, how do you think the other kid's feeling that made her or him say that to you? And what do you think might be going on? Almost having that side of empathy, just being really aware, really mindful, and very conscious of what that child might be going through, and then being able to help them role play, okay, well, what could you say when? And I oftentimes tell parents that it's not necessarily if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It might not be when they're 12 or 13. It might be when they're 22, based upon their friend group or whatnot. So it's really just making sure that kids have the tools and the skills to be able to really, be able to pull those out of their tool belt at the time when they need them most.
Now, I know you also work with adult women.
I do.
And what are the challenges that adult women are having?
Yeah, so I work with kind of two kind of avatars, if you will, two kind of audiences there. And one, I either work with moms who are parents and they're struggling, their daughter's slamming the door and saying, "You just don't understand." And I help moms. I don't know if you can relate to that, being a newly adopted mom. I don't know if that, I oftentimes will then help parents really kind of, they're going through something new altogether. They're parents, of course, and they don't want to do it the way that their parents did. And then you add that layer of social media in now where they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is all brand new, and she's staying up until midnight with her phone, and how do I take it away? And she's only on her computer, on her phone." I see you smiling. I'm sure that there's a lot of yes.
My husband doesn't let them have it up in the room. That's what we do, and he's a school teacher.
Which is great, though. I think that there have to be boundaries. We have boundaries, and we have to be able to put those boundaries in place for our kids to know them too. But so I'll either work with moms, who are really trying to give their daughters the tools and the skills that they need to be, effective, contributing citizens, if you will, and strong, confident, healthy girls. And then I oftentimes will work with women on a lot of body confidence issues. Even if they're thin or relatively healthy looking, oftentimes we as women oftentimes are really hard on ourselves. So whether you've had a weight issue or not, maybe you might be underweight even, you still might not necessarily have that confidence to go out on the beach and rock a bikini. So I really work with women about how to be able to go ahead and tap into your, back to your center core, and knowing that you have all the tools you need inside of you, and how do we find those and pull those out.
I have to interject here because I work with I work full-time in employee wellness, so I work with a lot of adult women, and I always tell them, you mentioned the beach, if you want to feel good about yourself, go to the beach, because nobody is perfect. That's the perfect place to go, because it kind of puts everything in perspective that we're reaching for these goals that are really unrealistic. I was looking on your website under the women's section, and you had mentioned something that kind of rang true with me is, we set those goals for New Year's, our New Year's resolution, and then like a couple months later, we haven't achieved them. Can you tell us about that program that you have coming up? Sure.
So it's actually related to those women who have started their New Year's resolutions, in January, and here it is coming up, towards the end of the year. We've got a couple months left. And so it's really to help those women, finish strong and start empowered. So while some women might be saying like, oh my gosh, like the holidays are way too busy, I say to them, well, where are you on that priority list? You've got shopping for everybody else on your priority list and going to every cocktail party, but where are you putting your health and prioritizing your own health in that? So I really want women to be able to finish 2015 really strong and then go ahead and start 2016 empowered. So that'll be an online program actually, where there'll be a group of women from around the country that will be a part of that program. So I'm really excited for that. So we will work together through, I have like a curriculum, I'm a former teacher, so there's week by week, there's a curriculum that we walk through, and it is a faith-based program. I should just give a little mention to that. Not all of my programs are, but this one is, because of my own weight loss, having been faith-based. So many people have asked me, and I've been able to really work with women one-on-one, and so I thought, why not bring this to a larger group where people can support one another and encourage one another through this program. So that's the way that this program will run.
Well, all the information you brought us is so exciting, and I think you've helped some of our parent viewers out there. I know you've helped me.
Good.
How can people reach you if they want more information?
So they can check out, of course, my website, shinewithfrannie.com is the #1 place, and then, of course, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, any form of social media. That's really where I connect with the girls, the teens and the tweens, and then usually the parents go to my website. And I do have lots of upcoming events, all the way through the end of this year, starting into the new year. They'll all be on my website on the upcoming tab.
Thank you so much. It's so great to see you again.
Yeah, thank you. Same here. Thanks for having me.
We'll be right back with more Mind, Body, and Spirit.